So when I think about disability justice, I think about being a little girl and so many years spent walking instead of using a wheelchair, and like so many years spent thinking like, oh, how far do I have to walk until I sit down, or what am I going to do if I'm going to fall, or just feeling really, really concerned by physicality that when I started using a wheelchair, like instantly went away. And I was so shocked that for so long, that wheelchair was thought to be this, like the end of a good life. And really, it was the opposite, and it was so liberating. And, people use the word like wheelchair bound, and I found that it was really the opposite. Like, I really got to be a kid once I started using a chair, or I think about going to physical therapy 3 times a week and like being really resentful around, why am I doing this? Is it like, what's the purpose? Because I'm not interested in like this obsession with walking or having a straight head instead of a tilted head, or walking side to side instead of whatever, or all the being a young girl and doing all of these surgeries and feeling like, do these surgeries really benefit me? Why are they making me do this when it's really overall so insignificant? But again, things like a neck straightening surgery, you miss a whole summer of being a kid, and it's just so that your head looks straighter, and not really medically necessary. But
wow.
But so much of that is around, like, I think about my mom and my dad being gone, and so she's a Korean mom with all of these white doctors, and them telling her she's not being a good mom if I don't do these surgeries. And is medicine about quality of life, or is it about like social control and perpetuating this idea of like a good body?
Ableism is the bane of my motherfucking existence. Ableism is, it's funny because people are like, oh, I'm so sorry that you're disabled. And it's absurd. I kind of want people to be like, oh, I'm so sorry that we live in ableism and I'm perpetuating it every day. Like, that's an appropriate thing to feel shitty about.
I think there's a political understanding of ableism as a system of oppression that favors able-bodiedness at any cost, frequently at the expense of people with disabilities. And I think ableism touches every aspect of life. Earlier you were talking about internalized ableism and all of these values that people with disabilities adopt and carry shame, and it's like so heavy, such a heavy coat, and then I think there's ways ableism gets played out interpersonally between non-disabled people and people with disabilities. We know that the employment rate for people with disabilities has barely shifted over the last 40 years. We know so many people with disabilities are still locked away in institutions or in back rooms. So there's that interpersonal and systemic piece, and then also the institutional ableism. So what systems are in place that continually keep people with disabilities out? There's a lot of conversation to be had too, I think, about all the ways that ableism and racism and classism and heterosexism and all forms of oppression really work together to keep people out.
I remember being little and being outside of a grocery store, and this is before the ADA, and there were these big poles to keep the shopping carts in, and that also kept people in chairs out. And so, people would tie their dogs on the poles, and I would like hang out with the dogs outside, because I couldn't go in the grocery stores, and I mean, that's what it looks like when you don't have access, right? Is you just get literally left outside.